Percents are a part of our life every day. We see an advertisement at a shoe store, 20% off. We go to the store, we buy a book and a few pens. Costs us $10 plus 8% sales tax. We go out to eat and we have to leave a tip for our waitress. Typically the tip is going to be 15 to 20%. So what exactly is a percent and how do we calculate it? Simply put, a percent is a piece of a whole. What does that mean? Well, suppose we have an amount. To make it easy, we'll say we have $100. We break that $100 into 100 little pieces. Each of those pieces is 1%. So since each piece in this case would be $1, each percent is $1. If we have 0%, we have none of the little pieces. And so 0% means we have nothing. 50% means we have half of the little pieces, or half of what we started with. In our case here, half of it would be $50. 100% means we have the entire amount. If we took all 100 of the little pieces, we'd have $100. And what about something like 125%? Well, picture if we had 125 of the little pieces. Each little piece was a $1 in this case. In 125 of them, would give us $125. To calculate a percent, it's actually pretty simple. All we do is take the whole amount and multiply it by the percentage as a decimal. To write a percent as a decimal, we simply move the decimal point 2 places to the left and we get rid of the percent sign. 3% is 0.03. 5.25%, 0.0525. 53%, 0.53. 100%, 1.00. 132%, 1.32. So the process for converting a percentage to a decimal is very simple. Get rid of the percentage sign, move the decimal point 2 places to the left. In our first example, we're going up to the shoe store and a pair of shoes cost $41.95. We bring them up to the cash register and they're going to charge us 8% sales tax. Sales tax is simply an amount of money that the store collects and sends off to the state. The original price was $41.95. Tax is 8% of that. 8% as a decimal is 0.08. So we take $41.95 times 0.08. That gives us $3.36. So the store is going to collect $3.36 additional because you bought those shoes. The total amount, $41.95, that's the price of the shoes, plus the sales tax, $3.36, $45.31 is the total amount that you have to pay. Now, take a look at really what's going on here. $41.95 was the price of the shoes. $3.36, well, that's the sales tax. $41.95 was 100% of the price of the shoes. And the tax was an additional 8%. So really, the total you paid was 108% of the price of the shoes. 100% was the price of the shoes, the 8% was the sales tax. Total 108%. If I wanted to calculate the total amount in one step, that's actually pretty easy to do. All I have to use is this idea of percentages. 100% plus 8%, we're going to pay 108%. $41.95, which was the price of the shoes, 108%, $45.31. So the $45.31 gives us the cost of the shoes plus the cost of the sales tax. And so we can use this to actually calculate the total in 2 different ways. If you're standing in the store and you want to figure out how much you need when you go up to the register, it's pretty simple to take the amount of the item and multiply it by 1.08. That gives you your grand total in one step, versus calculating the tax separately and then adding them together. Another time where we use percentages is for discounts. In this example, we're going to buy the same pair of shoes, except now they're on sale, 20% off. So $41.95 times 0.20, that's the amount of our discount, is $8.39. They're going to take $8.39 off the price of the shoes for you, which means $41.95 minus the $8.39 is $33.56. That pair of shoes will cost you $33.56. Now think about really what's going on here. $41.95 is 100% of the price. We're taking away 20% of it. That means you're paying 80% of the original price. The full price was $100. We took 20% away. What's left over is 80% of the price. So, just as in the case with a sales tax where we could calculate the discount and then subtract it to get the sales price, we could also say, well, 20% off, that means we're only paying 80% of the regular price. $41.95 times 0.80 is $33.56. We figured out in one step how much we'd be paying when we get up to the cash register for this pair of shoes. In our next example, we have something a little bit different. We're told that on a certain day, there are 92 students absent from school. And we're also told that the 92 students is 8% of the total student body. So the question is, how many students go to the school? Well, 92 is 8% of the total. Remember, the word is means equals, and the word of means multiply. 92 is 8%, 0.08, of the total x. Now I have a nice equation that I can solve. Divide both sides by 0.08, and I find out that x is 1,150. This tells me that there's 1,150 students in the school. I could easily check my work. If I take 1,150 times 0.08, it'll come out to be 92. So 8% of this number is 92. Another way I could do these, and a lot of folks like to do this, is by using a proportion. We can use the idea of part over whole, because remember, a percentage is a part of the whole. 8 out of 100, that's one way to write 8%, is 92 out of how many? So part over whole equals part over whole. Cross multiply, and I come up with x equals 1,150. So no matter which way I do this, I do come out with the same answer. Personally, I like the decimals. I think they're a little simpler to work with rather than setting up a proportion. But some folks do like to use proportions, and it's worth noting that they do work just as well. In our final example, we went out and we bought a coat. And the coat was 40% off. And it just so happens that we saved $48. So $48 was 40% of some number. I don't know what the original price was. The question is, what was the original price? Well, think about what they're saying to us. 40% gave us $48. So $48 is 40% of some number. $48 is 40% of some number. 48 equals 0.40x. Divide both sides by 0.40, and x is 120. That means that this coat originally cost $120. We could double check our answer. 120 times 40%, that'll give us our discount, and our discount would be $48. Once again, I could set this up by using proportions. Part over whole equals part over whole. 40 out of 100, that's the part over the whole, that's the percent, is 48 over x, the discount, over the total cost of the coat. Cross multiply and solve. Once again, I see that x is $120. Here's a couple of examples for you to try. The first example I'd like for you to do is to calculate 18% for a tip on $36.42. So you went out to eat, the total bill was $36.42, and you're going to leave the waitress an 18% tip. How much are you leaving the waitress? The second example is a video game, it costs $29.95, and you have to pay 8% sales tax. I'd like for you to figure out how much you'll be paying in sales tax and what's the total amount that you'll be paying when you get to the cash register. In our first example, we have $36.42, and we wanted to leave an 18% tip. $36.42 times 18% is $6.56. In our second example, we had a video game for $29.95, and we're paying 8% sales tax. The sales tax is $29.95 times 8%, $2.40. We want to find out the total. At this point, we could either add the price of the game plus the tax, or we could just take the price of the video game, multiply it by 108%, and come up with $32.35. Now, be sure at this time to go ahead, fill out the summary at the end of the notes packet. Tomorrow we'll continue working on percents and see how we can use those in many different applications.